Another major story that is undermining institutional trust these days is the case of Igor Danchenko. So now, according to the Washington Post, an analyst who was a primary source for a 2016 dossier of allegations against Donald Trump has been arrested on charges that he repeatedly lied to the FBI about where and how he got his information, officials said on Thursday. Igor Danchenko's role in providing information to British ex-spy Christopher Steele, who compiled the accusations about Trump in a series of reports, has long been a subject of scrutiny from internal Department of Justice investigators and special counsel John Durham, according to people familiar with the investigations. Steele presented that dossier to the FBI. It was part of the basis for secret surveillance court orders targeting former Trump advisor Carter Page, as the FBI investigated possible ties between the 2016 Trump presidential campaign and Russia. So remember, the Steele dossier was used as the basis to target Carter Page. You remember that in January of 2017, before Trump's inauguration, or right after Trump's inauguration, James Comey approached Donald Trump and told him about the Steele dossier. And that mere telling him about the Steele dossier was used as the predicate for BuzzFeed, then breaking the dossier wide on its website without vetting any of the details. And this became the basis of the Trump-Russia investigation. Right? Trump had deep ties to Russia, and for 4 long years, all we heard was that Trump was a Russian plant. The Steele dossier was still being trotted out as possibly true as late as like a few weeks ago. ABC News' George Stephanopoulos sat down with Christopher Steele, and Steele was maintaining that much of the data in there was still probably true. Well, it turns out that since 2017, like since the beginning of the saga, since the early days of 2017, the FBI knew that the key source for the Steele dossier was lying to them. They didn't know that in 2018, not 2019, in 2017. No prosecution, no attempts to quash, no public statements about why the Steele dossier was a load of crap. None of that. They just kept investigating, right? The Mueller investigation just kept going. A 2019 report by the Justice Department Inspector General found major problems with the accuracy of Danchenko's information. But the 39-page indictment unveiled on Thursday paints a more detailed picture of claims that were allegedly built on exaggerations, rumors, and outright lies. The indictment is likely to buttress Republican charges that Democrats and FBI agents intentionally or accidentally turned cheap partisan smears into a high-stakes national security investigation of a sitting president. It doesn't just buttress it, it proves it. And the Democrats laundered a bunch of dirty, probably Russian-provided misinformation through the FBI and then into the media and then back into law enforcement hands, where it was used as the basis for large swaths of the Mueller investigation. The indictment suggests Danchenko may have lied to Christopher Steele and others about where he was getting his information. Some of the material came from a Democratic Party operative with long-standing ties to Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, according to the charges, rather than even a well-connected Russian with insight into the Kremlin. So it turns out that some of the information wasn't even coming from Russia. It was coming from inside the house, from somebody who's just working with Hillary Clinton. The Washington Post admits the allegations cast new uncertainty on some past reporting on the dossier by news organizations, including the Washington Post. Well, it's too late. Everybody won their Pulitzers, and Donald Trump is no longer president, so victory achieved, gang. Danchenko appeared briefly Thursday in federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, where his lawyer tried to enter a plea of not guilty on his behalf for 5 counts of making false statements. The judge didn't accept the plea because the hearing was not in arraignment, and Danchenko was released. So, Andy McCarthy has a good piece over at New York Post about all of this, titled, "Arrest Illustrates How the Steele Dossier Was a Political Dirty Trick Orchestrated by Hillary Clinton." He says Danchenko has been charged with 5 counts of lying to the FBI in interviews during 2017, as the Bureau struggled in futility to verify outlandish allegations that Donald Trump and his campaign were clandestine agents of the Kremlin. Those allegations were compiled in the so-called Steele dossier, which the FBI relied on in obtaining surveillance warrants from a secret federal court. The dossier was generated by the Clinton campaign. Its principal author was former British spy Christopher Steele. Steele's main source was Danchenko, a Russian native based in the United States who worked at the Brookings Institute, a Washington think tank whose former president, Strobe Talbot, is a college friend of Bill Clinton's who worked in the Clinton State Department. At Brookings, Danchenko worked with Fiona Hill, later a member of Trump's National Security Council and a key witness in the first Trump impeachment over the unrelated Ukraine controversy. It was through Hill that Danchenko became acquainted with Steele, who ran a London-based intelligence firm. Durham's indictment alleges that Danchenko lied about 2 major points. First, he fabricated the claim that the president of the Russian-American Chamber of Commerce informed him that, during the 2016 presidential campaign, Trump was involved in a well-developed conspiracy of cooperation with Putin. In reality, that conversation never happened. The chamber president is not identified by name in the indictment. After the Steele dossier became public, however, there was intense speculation that the chamber's founder, Sergei Millian, was a Steele dossier source. As I recounted in my book on Russiagate, says Andy McCarthy, Millian denied being a source, trashed the dossier as fake news created by sick minds. Danchenko is also alleged to have concealed that one of his sources for the information he was giving to Steele was a longtime Dem Party operative who was close to the Clintons, having worked on both of Bill Clinton's successful presidential campaigns and Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign. That source was revealed on Thursday to be Chuck Dolan, a public relations executive who had Russian contacts, referred to as PR Executive 1 in the indictment. The FBI interviewed Danchenko because it was desperately trying to corroborate the Steele dossier claims. One question Durham must be pressing is, what took the Bureau so long? The Obama DOJ brought the FBI's sworn claims to the secret federal Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court in October 2016. The FBI is supposed to verify the allegations before going to court, but it didn't interview Danchenko, who was the main source, until January 2017. It was already obtaining its second 90-day spy warrant on Carter Page by that point. It appears that Durham theorizes the Trump-Russia collusion narrative was a political attack manufactured by the Clinton campaign. Relying on Danchenko, Steele compiled the reports for Glenn Simpson, co-founder of an intelligence firm, Fusion GPS, which specializes in digging up political dirt. Fusion GPS was retained by Perkins Coie, the Clinton campaign's law firm. In September, Durham indicted former Perkins Coie Michael Sussman for making a false statement to the FBI while peddling Trump-Russia allegations the Bureau eventually found to be unsubstantiated. His charging instruments suggest the Clinton campaign used its agents to peddle the Trump-Russia rumors to the government and the media, then used the fact Trump was being investigated as part of the campaign messaging. So in other words, if you are talking about Russian interference in the election, it's really Democratic interference in the election by suggesting that a chief issue in the election is whether Trump was a Russian cat's paw, which, as you'll recall, was trotted out by the Clinton team throughout the election cycle. It turns out that the Russian probe, very likely, was just a piece of FBI manipulation by the Democratic Party, and then the FBI had to cover its own ass and so refused to actually investigate all of the people thoroughly who had given it the information in the first place until now. It's unbelievable. Eli Lake writes for Bloomberg. It's been clear for 2 years that Steele's dossier was garbage. That's mainly thanks to the work of Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz, who released a report in 2019 skewering the FBI. Durham's investigation has taken a different approach. His last two indictments suggest the FBI was not a villain but a victim, conned by Democratic operatives to pursue bogus investigations into the Trump campaign. Danchenko is charged with hiding his relationship to a prominent Democrat in interviews with the FBI about the dossier. Of course, that is Charles Dolan, as we were discussing. The real victim of these Democratic Party deceptions was not the FBI, however, says Eli Lake, but the American public. That's why Durham's investigation, now in its third year, remains not only relevant, but vital. It is an incredible thing. So what we have here, if we've got this right, what we have here is that the Steele dossier, which was used as the basis for the FBI opening an investigation into Donald Trump's campaign, which ended up splashed across the front pages of every major newspaper in 2016, and then after the election ended up being the basis of the Mueller investigation, which dogged Trump for 4 years, and in frustration at which Trump started making bizarre phone calls and getting himself in all sorts of legal hot water. It turns out that all of that was because the media and the FBI decided to work along with the Democrats in order to take Trump down. Right? That's all that we're seeing here. And it took years for any of these prosecutions to take place. The FBI, it's amazing. The FBI knew Danchenko was lying in 2017. In 2017. The calendar now says, according to my calculations, that it is 2021. What was the FBI doing all of this time? Institutional trust with the FBI has been broken for quite a while. It should be broken even further. These institutions, they are motivated by politics. Politics have infused them. When Donald Trump talked about the so-called deep state, people took that to mean that there was an active conspiracy of people working inside these departments. Sometimes that may be true. Right? There are a lot of these people who are working together, obviously. If you're looking at, for example, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, if you're looking at that coupling, right, those people clearly had similar priorities. But in reality, all this means is that there is a feedback loop of people who share the same political echo chamber. And you can apparently retail any piece of garbage to the FBI. And so long as it is coming from a Democratic source, they won't even check into the sources of the original dossier. They won't even check into it. And then they will launder it. This is what James Comey did. They will launder it through the press to the public and help to destroy the presidency of a sitting president of the United States. That is an amazing, amazing thing. Listen, I was loath to believe a lot of the early charges. There are some people who are on this way earlier than I was. That is for damn sure. That's because I have a certain level of baseline American trust in these institutions. That trust has been deeply shaken. If it hasn't been shaken for you, it's because you're not watching this closely enough. I know what you're thinking. It's time to binge some more Ben Shapiro videos. Well, you are right. You should. But first, like and subscribe. Perfect. I'll see you in the next video.